I'm so glad that you came back for another episode of The Art of Encouragement with Katie Baldwin. As I pondered what it would be that God would like for me to speak about this week, I kind of went back and forth between a couple of different things, but I just kept coming back to this one area that I think that God uses with me over and over, because it's really, really easy as you go through this process with God in your own gift, or even trying to discover your own gift, that we get very, self-oriented. You know, we concentrate so much on where He has us, or where we're going, or what He wants for us, that we forget the why. Why are we doing it, or who are we doing it for? So I went back through some old notes that I had, because there were quite a few times that he's addressed this with me. And so this week I'm going to be speaking on, which is going to be the name of this, who is your gift for? And it makes us wonder, why does God give us gifts? Well, number one, He's a loving and caring and gracious Father. But He loves for us to have these gifts, not only to bless us or to encourage us or to help us, but it is for us to, grow in them, do well in them, so that we can turn around and use them. So that's what I'm going to be speaking about today. I'm sure I'm not the only one that wonders what my gift is, what my purpose is, what is my destiny. How are you going to take these gifts or these blessings that I have to not only use them in me for the benefit for me, but how am I supposed to turn around and use these for other people? How am I supposed to, I'll use the word creatively, take them and expound them so they don't only bless, nurture, and guide me, but they do the same thing for other people around me? I know everybody goes through times and seasons, especially in the beginning of your walk, where you question, what is my purpose? What is my destiny? What is my gift? All the different questions that we run into. And it's not because we're ignorant of it. It's just that we want to have the spirit of excellence. We want to do what we need to do, and we want to do it the best that we can do it. I know that's how I felt, and I speak to many people. That's how everyone feels. When you finally find something that you believe is your gift, or you want to pursue as your gift, at that point, I think we have a tendency to be very self-aware. And that's great maybe in the beginning, because we need to see the art of it. We need to see the nuance of it. We need to be able to expand it and flow in it. But then there comes a point that we really have got to take our eyes off of ourselves and question more, focused with God, and ask Him, what is it that I'm supposed to do with this? This obviously wasn't just given to me so that I could run off and just keep being so self-attention that I'm not any good for anybody around me. Because He does give us our many gifts and our many talents and our many desires, not solely for us. He gives them for us to be able to share, to be part of the body, and to use them for the body. I saw a note that I wrote, and I'm going to read it. It says, have people be your destiny, not your gift. Not being so concerned or concentrated on yourself, but those you are sent to. I wrote that maybe 7 years ago. And I found it in my notes as I was thinking about this was the direction that I wanted to go, that I really felt God was pulling me towards. It's, again, we can be so concentrated on our own gifts that we get lost within the gift. We have to be unique, not because the gift has to be unique. I've run into many people who are prophetic and who are also artists. And God needs all of us. And it has nothing to do with me being quote unquote an artist or quote unquote being prophetic. It has to be the willingness to let him work through me so that I can be the best me for those that are around me. So that he can use me as his tool to help people wherever they are at. So I think about him so that I won't get so focused on myself that where discouragement comes and I stop trying. Because I think when we get so inwardly focused on ourselves that we start picking on ourselves, or we see where we're not doing what somebody else is doing. And because of that, it starts to really get on our nerves. And then we start looking to God like, well, why aren't you this or why aren't you that? And when all reality, as I said in my last podcast, we're exactly where God has us to be for whatever the purpose is. Whether it's because there's a waiting period or whether we didn't step in and grow into the areas that he needed us to. And he can't have us step out any further because it would cause us far more damage than it would be just to let us go all willy-nilly and then maybe have us fall and not come back because we became so discouraged or it didn't go the way we wanted and we just weren't mature enough to handle it. And then we fall away from him. He's far more concerned with us staying with him, being obedient with him, focusing totally on him, than for us to get to some grandioso thing that we have in our own minds, believing that we need to do for the kingdom of God. I mean, I have to admit, I'm definitely guilty of going to God saying, hey, this is a great idea that you have for me. Let me show you how this can go. Follow me. And then turn around and see God kind of standing there going, hey, if this is yours, you run on off and you handle it if it really is yours. And that's when I have to back up. And I can say I had to do that quite a few times in my past to where I was like, no, Lord, you're right. I was running ahead of you. This is yours. What do you want me to do? How do you want me to do this? That is when he says, okay, it's back into my hands. And because it's back into his hands, he can now take it to the height that it was meant to go. We can never take it to the height that we think it should go, or even what we believe God's given us. And he knows so much more about the ins and outs of it. And it's amazing the twists and turns. I think back to the points that some of the things that he's brought me through, that if he told me in the very beginning, I don't know if I would have automatically volunteered for it. But in his mercy, I did go into it. He was there for me the entire way. The areas that I couldn't handle it, he carried me or held my hand. And then the areas that I could, I just went on through with it and stood strong. And he applauded me and encouraged me the whole way. With all this being said, I think it comes back to the verse that I was saying about how Jesus endured the cross for us. He saw us. He saw the other side. He saw what all that nastiness that he had to go through was going to bring, was going to give not only to him, but to his Father and to us. So it makes sense for me to say this. He did it for love. He did it all for love. And many of you would be like, well, yeah, of course he did it for love. Jesus is love. But if that's the case, then that means our destiny is to fall in love with people. That people should be our love. And what we do with our gifts should always be love. I must admit, when it comes to two of the gifts that I would say were my stronger suits, which would be the art and the prophetic, of the two, I can naturally fall into both of them the moment I'm with somebody. Because that compassion overtakes me. That spirit that guides me will literally just pick up and take me through what I need to do. If I had to lean on my own resources, I don't know if I would always be as focused. I don't know if I would always be as proficient as I needed to be. Because, human nature gets in the way. Like with the art, I could say sometimes maybe the reason that I became despondent, maybe the reason that I gave up, maybe the reason that I just couldn't be productive or even have like that constant creativity is because the burnout came. And why did the burnout came? The burnout came because I wasn't using love as my basis. I was using the fact that I wanted to make money. I wanted it to be a craft that could come in and be a stream of finance for myself. And that became so much more important than the who. Who was it that I was doing this for? Did I lie to myself or make it to where I believe that I'm doing this for God? Probably so. Because I was so entrenched with the fact that God had given me this gift, and so therefore I needed to take this gift and do something with it. But all he ever asked me to do was to be obedient and to follow his lead and to love his children, all his children, and to use that gift on behalf of his kingdom. If that so happens to mean that money comes from it, then so be it. But if it doesn't, but yet I still bless someone and they are so touched by the artwork, then I, again, as I've said in the past, am one of the richest women in the world. When it comes to prophetic, I can feel like I've made a million mistakes, or maybe I didn't say the right thing, or maybe I was apprehensive to step out and say something to somebody. But when I finally just was obedient and did it, even if I was maybe not 100% right on a word, if I did it in love, then they still received the deposit of what the gift was. Now, I'm using those two as examples because obviously those are two of the gifts that I walk in. But the same principle is to fall in love with the people that God has placed in front of you, even if they're hard to love, even if you don't want to. I mean, there's been a few people that obviously I've been in situations with that I can't really say that was my number one desire, but it was his number one desire. And it is far better for you to be obedient. And I've said that so many times, but it's something that we have to keep saying over and over because it's so easy for us to get off the track of being obedient, because being obedient doesn't always feel good. Being obedient can sometimes be downright frustrating because our flesh does not necessarily like to be obedient because it's about someone else a lot of times, or doing opposite of what you really would like to do. I think in this process that God has us go through with learning our gifts, our passion, our destiny, that we need to learn within that our strength and our comforts. Because those two words don't always go together with each other. A lot of time our comfort will not bring us strength. And a lot of times our strength will not bring us comfort. But he encourages us to go forward. And he will use his comfort to comfort us. And he will use his strength to strengthen us. And so because of that, we will have strength and we will have comfort. And it will be the privilege of ours to be able to not only to pursue and to know our desire or our passions, but to where we are to direct that love at that he wants us to go towards. Even the people that you may have a hard time ministering to. We need to always remember that it's never about us and that it's always about him, because he has always made it about us, because it was us that drove him to the cross. And that is who his gift was for. His gift was for us. And so we need to remember that no matter what our gifting is, no matter what our destiny is, no matter what our passion is, his example is what we go by. So what Jesus did, we ourselves should model ourselves the best we can to be just like him. Not getting what you want? Yeah, for me, it's hard. It's hard for all of us. We want to see our gift flow in a way that's comfortable. We want to see our gift produce what we would like to see it produce. And when it doesn't, it makes it hard. It makes it frustrating. It makes it where we think that maybe this isn't what we were supposed to do, or maybe this isn't what God wanted. But in all reality, he's just shaping us and helping us and growing us into the perfection of what he needs for us. And in that process, he still lets us bless the people around us, even if we don't feel that we're proficient at it. He still will take what little that we give to him and make something amazing out of it for somebody else that makes such a difference in their life. Some parts of me, especially like in the back of my mind as I'm talking, I keep thinking, this podcast maybe not be as exciting. It may not be as, I don't know. Maybe it's just the subject matter that it makes it hard for me, because I know that I've struggled for such a long time personally, wanting something so desperately, but also wanting to please my Father and not go ahead of him and not basically try to coach him into the place of what I believe or what I want. Because I truly do, in my heart of hearts, want what is on his heart. I want what he wants far more than what I want. But I also know that I don't like waiting. I don't like the discomfort. I don't like the unknown. I want to know. I want to see things change. I feel like in my heart right now, if I were you to ask me this very day that I'm doing this podcast, how do you feel? Today may be one of those days that I'm having just to trust and believe in what God has for me, and to know that even many things that I say positively to people that I need to have said back to me today, because I feel like the waiting and the trying and the hoping and the prayer and the confessions and the sowing, all of it is just a mountain of things that I have done, but yet I still feel like I'm still on this journey trying to get to the top of this mountain, and I don't even see the top of it because I don't understand how much further I have. And I know that that's not a way to look at the way that we do with our gifts and wanting God to do things for us. But if I can't say the honest things that I feel in my heart while I'm doing these podcasts, well, then what good is it? Because we all are going through this journey, and it's not easy on some days. Some days we don't feel like we're standing on the top of the mountain, jumping up and down, saying, I made it, I made it, I made it. We may be in the midst of it, and there's cloud coverage all around us, and we have no idea where we're at on the mountain, how much longer it's going to be, or if we're going to get to the top of the mountain, because was that the purpose, to get to the top? Maybe my purpose was to get this far and then take a left or a right and start going in another direction. And I think that's where our hearts always need to be also, is that we may have this idea of where God wants us, and we may have this perception of what we feel that God means, or we may just clearly just have, this is my desire and this is what I want, and I'm not real sure this is what God has for me, but this is my passion, this is my desire, and I'm just going to keep going with it until I hear, God say left, right, stop, or go faster. So here we are on this path, constantly trying to be obedient, constantly wanting his way, and knowing that he has these gifts for us, that he has these things that he wants us to do, because he needs us functioning as the body, and for each body part to stay within that perfection that he has for us. His perfection, not our perfection, his perfection. So that we can do precisely what he needs to do. And that's, I think, the thing that kind of blows my mind. A friend of mine came yesterday actually, and brought me back a piece of artwork that I did for her years ago, which I started laughing after looking at it, because I had just talked about, a podcast, two podcasts back, how my stuff looks so juvenile. And I just literally wanted to roll laughing because it looks nothing compared to what I have now. And I asked her, do you want me to try to touch it up and make it look better? Because over time, the markers had kind of, faded away a little bit, but you still could see it, pretty clear. And so I was like, do you want me to redo it, freshen it up? Or would you like me to do something completely different, but with the same verse that goes in the frame that she has? And she goes, I'm going to leave that up to you. And I'm really not sure what I'm going to do just yet. I haven't really prayed about it that much. I keep looking at it thinking, what a shame to cover up something that meant so much at that time, that she's kept it all these years and loves it so much and wants it to be, fresh, obviously, because it does look like it needs to be refreshed. But should I cover it or should I do something totally new? I do know one thing. I won't paint or draw over it. I'll leave it alone and then place a new one over it if I do it, because I think that's part of the journey too that she can look at, that we both know that we've come so much farther from that moment that art was done to now. But the reason I'm bringing this story up is to say, it's so funny that at that time, no matter how much I look at it now, and I think that it doesn't have that much, it looks funny to me. It looks juvenile. It ministered to her so much. It made a big difference for her. She loved the artwork. And so God will take what you have at that very moment to bless others as you grow on your journey. You don't ever have to be perfected, because we will never reach perfection until we go to heaven. We will ever increasingly grow. But God will always use us at that moment to minister and to bless those that are around us. And how much better it will be if we look at it through the eyes of Jesus and always do it through love. I'm so thankful that Jesus saw past leaving heaven, coming down here to earth, going through life, going through all the torturous and tremendous pain and agony, humiliation, degradation, everything that he went through to be upon the cross and to die on the cross for me and for all of us. That he saw past every bit of that and saw my face, saw your face, saw everyone's face. I'm so beyond grateful that those mere words don't even begin to cover the appreciation and the thankfulness that I have for him. I'm also thankful for my walk, just as I'm sure you are too. No matter the ups and downs or the crazy things that are going around us in the world to date. And who knows what else will come. God does. And he knows that as long as we keep our eyes upon him, that we will make it, we will be strong, and that if we truly believe in him and believe he's the one that gives us our gifts, that even through the most trying times, the best of times, that we will always turn to him and know that the gifts and the blessings that he gives us are not solely ever for us, that they are for the kingdom of God. They are for his purpose. I pray for you today, as I do for myself, that we will always know this. To be a true believer is not just gloating or being excited about having our salvation. Most definitely, that is something to gloat and be excited about. But I think during this time and even coming approaching season for Resurrection Sunday, to be thankful that the precious gift that God gave us, and that's the gift of Jesus Christ. And that because of that gift, He allows us now to be partakers within everything that he has to do on this earth. He wants us to be the ones that take what he's given us through our power, through our authority, and do the things here on earth that need to be done. There is nothing stronger than the love of Christ. And the love of Christ will win out. And as long as we focus on the who that we are doing what we do for and how we use our gifts, there is no demon in hell that can win. And I encourage you to be strong. I encourage you to be focused. Keep your eyes ever on Jesus. And so that the love of Christ comes and exudes from you and takes every single solitary gift that you have, so that we as one unit, in unity, can come together and show the absolute wonder and love of Jesus Christ. I leave you with this verse. It's from Hebrews 12:2, and it says, "He suffered death on a cross, but he accepted the shame of the cross as if it were nothing, because of the joy he could see waiting for him." I pray this verse over myself, and I pray it over you, that we keep it in our heart, we keep it close, and we know that no matter what the circumstance is that delays or keeps something from us, or even turns us in a different direction, that no matter what, that we will look and aspire to be just like Jesus, knowing that it doesn't matter the circumstances or the situations that we're in, that what we do is all for the joy of Christ and for his kingdom. I hope you enjoyed today's message from The Art of Encouragement by Katie Baldwin, and that it inspires you to pursue your gifts, to find the who that you're to minister to through the love of Jesus Christ. If you believe that you're part of my tribe, I would really appreciate it if you would like, follow, and please leave comments if you would like. You can find me on Instagram at Art Inspirations. You can also find my artwork on Etsy at Art Inspirations by KB. You can also go to my website, artinspirations.com. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful week.